Hi everyone, this is Lara Hammock from the Marble Jar channel, and in today's video I'll tell you why I switched my task reminder app platform from Toodledo to Todoist. So of all the apps and systems that I use to keep my life straight, the one I look at the most throughout the day is definitely my task reminder system. It serves as a checklist during the day to ensure that I get things done, and it helps me to remember the things that I need to do in the future. So up until recently, I had been using Toodledo for task management. Toodledo was basically fine for my needs. It's highly configurable and it has great options for recurring tasks. There were a couple of issues, however. First of all, it's pretty basic looking. The interface looks like it got stuck in the early 90s. It really does not try to hide the fact that it's really just a big spreadsheet. Second, the mobile app, while it's fine, is pretty clunky. It's not slick at all, and it doesn't update quickly on its own. I found myself constantly switching screens just to get it to not show completed tasks. The next issue is that the developers at Toodledo haven't updated their APIs to use with third-party apps. So for example, Toodledo doesn't have updated APIs that allow you to create automations through Siri shortcuts or IFTTT. So none of these are deal breakers, but this last one really started to bother me. Toodledo doesn't allow for manual sorting of tasks. So on any given day, I may have 15 to 30 tasks. You can sort by lots of things, but I wanted to sort my today tasks manually into the order that I was going to accomplish them. And that is not an option for Toodledo. So as a result, I started using a lot of workarounds to accomplish this. You can see my Trello workaround video if you're interested. But in the end, I started looking for another app that would meet all of my needs and allow me to manually sort. I tried out a bunch, but I ended up choosing Todoist. I'll go through the things that I love about Todoist and some things that I would change. First, the pros. First of all, the interface is great. It doesn't look like a big clunky spreadsheet, and it shows both tasks and projects, even in the mobile version if you turn it landscape. Second, its developers do have APIs that are available to use to create your own automation, so that is a nice to have. I wouldn't have switched without this, but Todoist does allow you to sort your tasks for the day into whatever order you want manually, just by dragging and dropping the tasks. Perfect. And then there were some nice additional things that I wasn't necessarily looking for, but that I'm really enjoying. Todoist has an inbox. So any task where there is no project assigned goes into your inbox. So this is new for me. Toodledo doesn't have an inbox, so you basically only know about tasks when they hit your hot list, which means they are either due today or they are overdue. So for this reason, in Toodledo, I would have to give every task a date. I got used to doing this, but I can see now that there are many tasks that I would procrastinate about putting into Toodledo since I hadn't figured out a time frame for doing them yet. Todoist allows you to get the thought out of your head immediately, and then you can go into your inbox whenever you want and assign those tasks to specific dates or to specific projects. It helps to clear your mind and capture everything without forcing you to pick and manage arbitrary due dates. Similarly, I really like the way Todoist handles projects. Toodledo sort of pseudo-handled projects through tags, but that was really just a way of grouping tasks together. Todoist has a view for projects that is practically as important as your view for daily tasks. The idea is that you'll be checking in on your projects fairly frequently, adding new tasks, and assigning dates. It offers a way to plan things out without having to assign a date to every task at the outset. You can add tasks or sub-projects to projects and also subtasks to make mini projects. So here's an example. Let's say I have a project that I want to call some insurance companies for new auto quotes. So this is not something I need to do on a specific date necessarily, but just something I want to do when I have some time. I can put in a project called auto insurance quotes and plan out some tasks. So say I want to call Geico, State Farm, and MetLife. You'll notice none of these have any dates assigned to them. I could certainly assign dates. I could make them all due next Tuesday. That would ensure that these dates show up on my today task list on Tuesday, and it would give them a little urgency. Alternatively, I could not assign dates, and I could just have this project scoped out a bit so that when I do have some time, I can make a call or two. I'm going to do a video later on showing how I use Todoist, but I no longer have to make project lists in Evernote, and I am getting a lot of use out of the project views. And finally, labels and filters. So Todoist offers some other ways to tag and view tasks using labels and filters. I confess I haven't entirely determined how best to use these, but I think they're going to make Todoist even more helpful. For example, for any task where I need to leave the house, I use the tag errand. So that way I can pull up every task tagged with errand when I'm out and about, and I can get all of those things done in one go. So those are all the great things about Todoist. What are some of the drawbacks? First of all, no compact view. So other apps, including Toodledo, give you some options on how much white space there is on your screen. Todoist doesn't. So I'd like my tasks to be a little closer together so I could get more of them on one screen, but that's not an option they currently offer. Premium features. So I don't mind paying for apps that I use frequently, particularly ones that I rely on as much as I do Todoist, but it is worth noting that some of what I would consider basic features like notes and tags are really only available if you upgrade to premium, which for me was $36 a year. Sorting for Today View. So you cannot change the way that Todoist sorts its Today screen except to change things manually. And even then, some things supersede manual sorting. So for example, if you put a time on a task, it will always sort up to the top. So let's say you're making a grocery run to the grocery store at 4:30 p.m. If you put that time in the task, you can't sort anything above it, even manually. So I work around this by putting the text of the time in the task name, but not actually adding the time. You can only sort tasks manually with other tasks that are like them, so you can't mix up tasks that have different due dates or priorities. And finally, I hate the way Todoist deals with recurring tasks. So this is a big deal for me since 70% of my tasks repeat. But as far as I can tell, there's no mechanism to add recurring dates other than using Todoist's so-called smart date entry, which means you have to spell it out in natural language in the task name, and Todoist just figures it out. So for example, if I want a task to repeat every Monday, I would enter into the task name, call grandma every Monday. Todoist then figures it out that this is a recurring date. The problem is that it doesn't always get it right, and it's very hard to go back and adjust or edit. So there's no actual interface so that you can clearly enter the recurring pattern that you want. Instead, you have to play this game with Todoist using different phrasing until you think you might have it right. It's kind of maddening. In addition, you can't simultaneously put in a future date and a recurrence. So for example, if I want to remind myself to call to renegotiate my internet package in August, and I want to remind myself to do this every year, you have to first say the date that you want it done, save that, and then go back in and tell it the recurring pattern. The other thing that drives me crazy is the tasks recur from the date that they were completed as opposed to the date that they were due. This creates work for me, and maybe there are ways to change this, but I haven't found it yet. So based on my decision to switch, the positives for Todoist far outweigh the negatives for me. Let me know what you think. Comments are always appreciated, and thanks for watching.